Mrs. Puff has been to jail more times than any villain in this show for teaching a kid to drive, so why does she keep doing it? She's had 20 years to expel him, but she never has, because Mrs. Puff isn't her name, and the police already know that. So, I went back through every episode she's in, looking for one thing: why a teacher with a perfect record keeps the one student who's failed for 20 years. And the first crack shows up in a season 2 episode, called No Free Rides. She slips.
What have I done? Everyone will know that I let him slide through school. I'll have to move to a new city, start a new boating school with a new name.
She says it out loud, a new name. That confirms Mrs. Puff isn't her first name. Then, after searching for clues, I found the smoking gun hidden in one frame. In the season 12 episode, Lighthouse Louie. For half a second, a newspaper is buried in a pile of junk. Pause it. The paper's called the New Kelp Post. The headline reads, "Deranged boat teacher makes getaway." Name under the mugshot isn't Puff, it's Bobby Blowfish. So now we know she's actually a fugitive who fled a city. But that still doesn't make sense, because people don't flee a whole city just over a parking ticket. That's definitely not the full story. But what was she actually running from? The answer is hidden in a comic called Puff's Pageant. Way before the boating school, she actually robbed banks. And the comic reveals something the cartoon never would. If she ever loses that school, she goes back to it, and she still has the ski mask. This means that Mrs. Puff is actually a fugitive, a bank robber hiding under a fake name. And the only thing standing between her and a prison cell is a boating school. But the thing is, that school exists to teach exactly one student: Spongebob. Which means the question was never why Spongebob can't pass, but what happens to her the day he does. And the deeper I looked, the less sense she made. Until I realized her whole life is built on a contradiction the show has been hiding for 20 years. Why has Spongebob not passed Mrs. Puff's school in 20 years? The obvious answer is she's bad at teaching. But the show destroys that theory in 3 names. C. Squidward and Mr. Krabs both passed. Patrick, who literally once forgot how to breathe, also passed. And even Plankton passed. A creature whose character is notorious for losing somehow sat in Mrs. Puff's class and walked out with a license. She's taught everyone who ever walked through that door. The school has produced exactly 1 permanent failure in 20 years. And it's the one student who aces every written test and brings her an apple every morning. If she's good enough to teach a supervillain who always loses, then she doesn't accidentally fail her most devoted student for 2 decades. So that can only mean one thing, and one thing only. She's doing it on purpose to keep him forever. But that still doesn't answer why a woman keeping her student wants him gone at the same time. In Mrs. Puff, You're Fired, she loses her teaching license, and she's extremely happy.
No more SpongeBob? I thought this day would never come.
And in doing time, SpongeBob lands her in prison, and she's relieved.
No more boating school classes. No more driving. No more SpongeBob.
She'd rather break rocks in a cell than drive with him one more time. She has tried to quit. She's tried to get fired. She prefers a prison cell to her own classroom. She is the best driving teacher in Bikini Bottom, and she would give anything to never see her most famous student again. Both of those are true at the same time. And a person doesn't force themselves within that contradiction by choice. The disturbing truth is that something is forcing her to, and it's been on screen the whole time. This contradiction doesn't make sense until you look down. In Bumper to Bumper, there's a shot most people skip right past. She's sitting at home complaining about SpongeBob, and the camera tilts to her ankle. There's a monitor on it, blinking red.
I can't even leave town without violating my parole.
She is not staying in Bikini Bottom because she wants to. She's staying because she legally cannot leave. She's on parole with a tracker locked to her leg. And the edge of that town is the edge of something called her cage. And that one detail changes every jail joke in the entire series. She doesn't get arrested for being clumsy. The reason is because she is already in the police's system, already flagged, one mistake from going back, and she has been assigned every day to the single most destructive creature in the ocean. Parole explains why she's stuck in town, but it doesn't explain why she's chained to one specific student, Spongebob. And this is where it gets brutal for Mrs. Puff, because this same episode accidentally shows you more than just the ankle monitor. This is the one episode where she almost gets free. She finally cracks the problem that's haunted her for 20 years. She realizes SpongeBob isn't a bad driver, but rather is just a scared one. He only crashes because the course terrifies him. So, she takes him somewhere with no course at all, an empty road in the middle of the desert, and her exact reasoning:
I'll test SpongeBob on a real road, and then he'll be out of my life forever.
Then after the test, it works. For the first time ever, SpongeBob drives perfectly. He passes.
SpongeBob, the test is history. You passed!
She wins. The 20-year sentence is finally over. But then the police pulled up, because to reach that empty desert road...
Is there a problem, officer?
She had to cross the county line, and then the ankle monitor. It notified the police that she broke parole, so they void the test, they tear up his license, and they put her back in handcuffs. She did everything right. She solved the unsolvable problem and earned her freedom, but the only road out was itself a crime. If SpongeBob fails, she teaches him forever. If SpongeBob passes, she has to break parole to do it. So she goes to prison and the test gets voided. And the last thing she says as they drag her off isn't sadness. It's,
I'll get you for this! I'll get you!
remember this line. It will make sense during her breaking point. There is no version of this where she walks away, and she understands it now too. So she stopped looking for a legal way out, and she started building her own, right in front of us, hidden for 16 years in the one place no one expected. Mrs. Puff has been dating the richest man in Bikini Bottom for 16 years. Everyone sees it as sweet, but there's something sinister about it. The evidence points to it being something I call the insurance. Mrs. Puff and Mr. Krabs never marry, never move in.
Doubt that, my little shrimp boat.
You're spoiling me, Mr. Krabs.
The relationship goes nowhere, and she's the reason. Which doesn't add up because most people either fall for someone or move on. She does neither. And it's not because she can't fall in love, because before any of this, she had a real life, a home, a name, and most importantly, a husband. In Buff for Puff, she's on an actual date with Krabs and falls for Larry the Lobster mid-date. That's not a woman who can't commit, it's a woman who won't. Because the last time she did, with her previous husband, she lost everything. This isn't a single moment you can point at. It's a consistent pattern, and once you see it, you can't unsee it. But there's still something that doesn't make sense. Why keep a man that long and let it lead to nothing? And why Mr. Krabs out of everyone? She fell in love with Larry the Lobster and Dorsal Dan. So, what was even the point of getting in the relationship with Mr. Krabs in the first place? The answer goes back to the cage. See, the tracker is still on her leg, and SpongeBob's still in her classroom. That means she can't break out, so she's getting ready for the day it opens. Look at what Mrs. Puff actually needs more than anything. It's not companionship or love. It's money. A new name costs money. Running from a city costs money. The first time she ran, she robbed banks to pay for it. So, she knows the price of escape. And she knows robbing banks is how you get a tracker locked to your ankle in the first place. If you need money to escape, and you can't afford to steal it again after getting caught, what do? You find the richest man in town, and you make him adore you. Mr. Krabs is the single greediest character in the series. A man who has, more than once, put money over his own daughter. And the show tells us again and again that the one force on Earth that overrides his greed is Mrs. Puff. He opens a wallet for her that has never opened for anyone.
Oh, Spongebob! I couldn't help but spend every cent I had on her!
Watch their first date in Krusty Love. He buries her in expensive gifts, and here's the detail that gives it away. She turns them down, says she'd rather go Dutch, even slips a little money back to him. Everyone reads that as her being humble, but think like someone running a con. Take everything on the first date and you look like a gold digger. You spook him, give a little back, and you look selfless. He trusts you completely, and his wallet stays open for years. And it's not just the first date. In Life of Crime, we learn she gave Krabs her hair curlers, a small, personal gift. Years later, he's still cradling them like treasure. That's the pattern. She gives him just enough to keep him hooked, and he stays hooked for 16 years.
I'm afraid I just don't feel comfortable accepting all these gifts.
She is not interested in a relationship with Mr. Krabs. She is keeping an asset. And right about now, you've probably decided she's the villain of her own story. Being both cold and calculated, using a man who genuinely loves her. I thought so too. Until I remembered why she knew the price of escape in the first place. She didn't learn to guard herself in a vacuum. She learned it the night the world took her husband and turned him into furniture. You don't survive that and then hand your whole heart to the next man who smiles at you. So she doesn't keep Krabs at a distance because she's cruel. She keeps him there because the last time she let someone all the way in. She lost everything.
Oh, well, thank you. But you didn't need to buy one.
The asset isn't a con, it's a life raft. And she's been clinging to it for 16 years, waiting for the one day she's allowed to use it.
My beautiful bell buoy!
Oh, just a minute.
But that leaves one question. If she's been building her escape for 16 years, what is she waiting for? The tracker on her leg, the school she can't close, the student she can't even release. She built the door. She just can't walk through it while Spongebob is still in her classroom. She's waiting for the one thing she can't get past. And somewhere in those 16 years, the teaching, the failing, the arrests, the man she's using, something in her finally gave out. And it led to the largest, most tragic breakdown she's ever had.
No, not again. I've got to end this thing before it begins.
Look at the episode, Demolition Doofus, where she just starts going crazy. This episode brings up a common misconception online, which makes most people think Mrs. Puff is just unhinged.
Hello, Mrs. Puff. Are we feeling any better?
I can see why. On the surface, it looks like random cruelty, but with everything we now know, it's the saddest thing she does, because it's the moment the cage finally breaks her. Here's what happens. SpongeBob crashes during a test.
Don't worry, Mrs. Puff. I got it this time.
No, SpongeBob, not again.
And physically cripples her. He damages her so badly she loses the ability to puff up.
Will I ever be my old self again?
No, my dear. I'm afraid you'll never puff again.
The one thing that defines her body, gone. Because of him, again. And something snaps. Not into rage, into something past rage. She enters SpongeBob into a demolition derby. A real one. Professional drivers, armored trucks. And she does it openly, hoping he dies in it. She is no longer trying to escape him. She is trying to erase him. A past fugitive with a fake name, who lost everything, and is forever stuck with SpongeBob, with a getaway she can't even use. People cite this as proof she's a psychopath. But run it through everything we've found. This is a woman legally chained to a person for 20 years, who solved the puzzle once, but got punished for solving it. Remember what she screamed when the test got voided. SpongeBob, I'll get you for this.
I'll get you for this! I'll get you!
That was the cage breaking her. And the derby is what came next. She can't quit, can't flee, can't pass him, can't survive him anymore. And she has spent 16 years building an escape she isn't allowed to use. Every door locked from the outside.
Could pass his boating test, he'd be out of my life once and for all.
And in Demolition Doofus, she stops trying the doors. She decides that if she can't remove herself from the equation, she'll remove him. And it doesn't work. SpongeBob's luck is supernatural. He wins the derby without trying. So she does the last thing she has left. She climbs into a truck herself and tries to run him down with her own hands. And she crashes into her own boating school. She destroys the cage trying to kill the lock, and in the wreckage she gets her ability to puff up back, which sounds like a happy ending, until you understand what it means. She is right back where she started, the school.
Oh, Neptune, another year with him. Barnacles, dirty barnacles.
Still standing, SpongeBob, still her student. The breakdown changed nothing. Because the trap doesn't allow for escape. Not even through this. That's the bottom. A person who has run out of legal options, romantic options, and finally violent ones. And the show frames it as a wacky episode about a teacher who can't catch a break. You know the truth now, but there is still one question I skipped that still needs to be solved. Who was she before any of this? Because Bobby Blowfish wasn't born a fugitive. Something made her one. The answer to what she used to be before all of this is the quietest, saddest detail in the entire series. She had a husband, Mr. Puff. And in an episode called Krusty Love, we find out what happened to him. He was caught by humans up on the surface and turned into a lamp. That's canon. Her husband is a household object in some human's living room. SpongeBob mentions plainly that she doesn't like to talk about it.
She doesn't like to talk about it.
Of course she doesn't. So look at what's left of her. A fake name. A husband she can't bury. An escape fund she'll never spend. And a ski mask still folded in a drawer. Not a memory, but a plan. Because somewhere underneath Mrs. Puff, Bobby Blowfish already knows this life won't hold. Every other student walked out of that school years ago. SpongeBob is the only one who never will. The show calls it a running gag. The kid who just can't pass his test. So why does she keep teaching him? Because he was never her student. He was her sentence. There are other characters in this show with secrets buried this deep. The writers hid them the same way. And if you want to see what else this show has been hiding in plain sight, subscribe. It takes a lot of effort to make these videos, and subscribing is the best way to support the channel. And there's way more lore to unpack than what meets the eye. But that will be for another episode.